Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and today working on a new project, and I just wanted to share with you guys how I'm doing a first-person camera controller. You just touch and swipe on mobile devices, or you just click and hold and drag on the computer. So stick around, super easy script. All we do is use the interface iDrag handler and a couple of lines of code. I hope this helps you guys. All right, so let's take a look at the scene real quick. It's just a very simple scene. We've got a plane here for the ground, a couple of cubes scattered out, different sizes, using those as buildings. We got like this little alleyway walking down towards the center camera, which would be the player, and then a few capsules that we're using for enemies, and then just have a simple nav mesh and dropped a nav mesh agent on the capsules. So nothing too complex here, just a little quick prototype. Go ahead and back up out of that. All right, talking about the enemies, just very simple enemy movement. We got using Unity Engine and Unity Engine.ai, so we can use the nav mesh agent. Then we just set the destination in the start to the camera's position, and the system does everything else for us. All right, so looking at how the actual input handler will work for the camera. So first thing I did is just apply the UI panel, stretched that over the entire screen. I kind of overstretched it a little bit here. You can see here I went -10 on all the sides. Then I went and set the alpha of the image down to 0 so you can actually see it. Make sure that's set as a raycast target. And then we drop our input handler script on there. So our input handler script has 3 public variables and a couple more privates, and we'll get to that here in just a second. We got the main camera, which is obviously just the main camera. Rotation speed, which you can set to whatever you think desirable. I found for this game, looks like it's going to be about 1.5. It's going to be the best for me. Then I got a speed display text, which I'll go ahead and pop those up on the screen right now. So here I just have a simple text screen, and then I've got a couple of buttons, or text element. So this text element is going to display what my current rotation speed is, so that when I put it on my phone the first time, I can kind of test it, play around with it, easily adjust it using the buttons. And you guys figured it out. Red means down, green means up, and figure out what speed works best. Then I can come back in here later and just delete these out. All right, so let's take a look at that input handler script. All right, so taking a look at this, we've got the Unity Engine, Event Systems, and UI. And also we're going to add the interface iDrag handler. And when you add that, you got to make sure that you have this method, the public void drag method with the pointer event data, and then name the variable whatever you want to name it. So let's run through these variables real quick. So we got the main camera, and that's just a quick reference to our camera. We got the rotation speed. And it's just a multiplier to increase or decrease the amount that your finger movement would rotate the camera. 2 float variables, one for horizontal rotation and one for vertical rotation. And then down here for debugging to help us figure out what we want to set that rotation speed at, we've got the speed display text. So in the start method, all we're going to do is we're going to set the speed display text to the rotation speed. Then I added the toString and added this formatting just so it's a little bit easier for me to read. We're going to skip over the onDrag method for a moment. We'll come right back to that. And then we'll look at these 2 quick button methods that we implemented. The increase rotation speed, which all we're doing is increasing by 0.1, and then displaying the text. And then the decrease, we're decreasing by 0.1 and then redisplaying the text. All right, so now on to the meat and potatoes of this, what actually make this work, the onDrag method. So just a few lines of code here. All right, so initially we're setting the horizontal rotation, and we're going to add the delta of x and multiply that by times.delta time, and then multiply that again by our rotational speed. If you're not familiar with what time.delta time is, it's the time between each frame, how long it takes to run each frame. And that will help to smooth the rotation regardless of what frame rate your game is running, whether you're running at 60, 80 frames per second or running at 30 frames per second. All right, we're going to do the same thing for the vertical rotation, except we're going to do that on the delta.y, and we're going to subtract on the vertical rotation instead of adding that. Then again, multiply by times that delta time and the rotation speed. All right, so if you want to have a free look and be able to look around 360 degrees, up, down, left, right, as far as you want to go, you won't need these next two lines. But for what I'm doing, I want to keep everything in front of the player, and I don't want them looking straight down at the ground or looking up too high. So I'm going to clamp my horizontal and vertical rotation. So I use mathf.clamp, and then horizontal rotation, I'm clamping that to -90 and +90, so I can look full left and I can look full right. That's as far as I can go. And my vertical rotation, I'm clamping that to a -25 and a +25, so they can't look straight down into the ground or look straight up into the air. Then finally, we're just going to set the camera rotation to the new rotation that we've determined that we want to use. So we go main camera.transform.Euler angles. And if you're not familiar with Euler angles, rotation is 4 different numbers. It's the X, Y, Z, and then W for rotation, which is a quaternion. Euler angles allows us to convert 3 angles, which we're more familiar with 3D space, X, Y, and Z, or vector 3, into a quaternion. So we do transform.Euler angles equals new vector 3. We'll do the vertical rotation, or the X, the horizontal rotation, or the Y, and then we'll just leave Z at 0. And that is all you need to get this working. So let's go ahead and pop back over in the Unity and take a look at that. And we've got the text button up and running. We've got the adjustment buttons running. So I'll go ahead and run the system. And now you can click and drag and see. It shows us what our display is, or what our rotation speed is. You can increase it a little bit if I want to try that. Let's go up to 3, and you can see that same movement will get me a lot faster movement. And come back to 0.5, and since we didn't limit what we can go to and actually go to numbers, we can actually see what this will be like reversed. All right, so let's go to -1.5. All right, so now you can see if I drag right, it actually moves left, and so forth and so on. So again, I found for what I'm trying to do, 1.5 works. Adjust it to whatever you need. And then when you're done with that and you don't need to change it anymore, you just come right back over to your input handler. You can set your rotation speed to what you need and delete the text and the adjustments buttons as necessary, or just hide them if you want to keep them, and delete all that extra code out of there so your system's not trying to run that in the back, or trying to compile that in the background. All right, guys, I hope this helped you out. I know I've gotten stuck a couple of times trying to figure out how to do this on mobile, and ended up doing some kind of combination of a else-if system or a switch system using touch inputs. This seems to be just a lot simpler and a lot easier way to do it. If you've got a better idea, let me know in the comments. And as always, like and subscribe. See you guys next time.